All right, traders, in this video, what I'd like to do is walk you through how to use the DOM for active trading. Now, the DOM is another way to place orders in the Tickblaze platform, and many of you may prefer to look at the market depth for order placement. Now, please note that there are other ways to trade. You could easily trade through the trade pad, or you could ultimately trade by placing on the basic or advanced functions within the trade pad. But many traders like to look at the level 2 data and look at the market depth. Now, this video, I'm going to do a tutorial on how to look at setting up the DOM, how to change the colors, how to place your orders, how to basically manage active trades, as well as get in and out of positions. If you have any questions on the DOM after the video, please feel free to let us know. Let's get into it. Now, what I've got here is I've got a workspace of the docked layouts for Tickblaze. And I'm going to ultimately just turn off the trade pad for this example and just pay most attention to the DOM. Now, the DOM is ultimately a widget that gets added to the platform. You can do the DOM through the dock layouts here, right? And I'll add another one, and you can see if I just click and link this, you'll see the DOM is there. You'll notice that my colors are a little bit different than the pre-built layouts. I'll explain how to change your colors for your own preference. You can also add the DOM up here through the floating layouts. If you want to build a different layout, you can ultimately add the DOM through this environment as well. And you can see you can move this DOM anywhere you choose, right? So for this example, I'm going to delete this one here and we're going to start from scratch. Okay, now you may have this loaded with the colors already pre-populated in the default. I think some of our team has preset the defaults, but if you're looking to just change the settings, you can easily go into the table settings. And you're gonna basically, you could load the table from the theme template and just click on the dark blue demo and hit OK, and it should basically populate like this. Now, the reason we've set those colors like this is because the way that traders look at the bid and the ask normally pertains to buying and selling based on the price ladder, and it really just is a preference, okay? So let's start by going into the actual table settings. You can change the background of your DOM, you can change the text, you can change the grid lines and how you choose to see it, you can change the fonts. You can also choose to see what you want in the DOM. Like this is a very big column infrastructure, which means I could add a lot more details in here, and you can actually add those should you choose to. By default, we have the X, the quantity, the bid, the price, and the ask, which is mainly the standard default for active live trading, okay? Now you're gonna notice that this is a pretty comprehensive layout, and I'm gonna explain why. We've pre-built all of the functions to be able to see different colors in here, basically looking at the low of day, the high of day, like looking at buying and selling, what your order flags colors look like. These can all be pre-populated. You can build them by doing rules, and you can basically say, you know, you can name the rule, you can add a rule, right, in the certain column, right, if you want a certain column to do a certain thing. And let me just explain what that looks like in here. If I just double click here, you're gonna see that this was a rule to basically looking at the columns for the colors, right? You can see that there's a reason for the bid and there's a reason for the ask being blue and green. And there's ultimately black as well as white text. So if you wanted to change all the colors in here, you could easily just come into this table rule and start setting up all your colors, right? Now these rules can be removed and added because Tickblaze is built for customization. It's built for very flexible user interface. So if you want to change these and you want to have a template for each different DOM or for each different market, you could definitely do that. Now for this example, it's pre-configured and we've basically taken all the heavy lifting out of the platform for you. But if you want to go in, the first course of action would be to change the buy and the sell column colors, which is going to give you the bid and the ask red and blue, or green and black, or purple and pink, whatever it is you choose to trade with, okay? Now, whenever you make changes to this, make sure you save a template. So you can come up here and you can save under custom, and you can basically save this to whichever you choose. So that way you can always load it should you choose to load it for future reference, okay? Now, the other thing I want to point out is ultimately the tool settings. There's not a lot going on in here, but I do think it's important you understand what these are. You can add cumulative depth. So if you want to see the total of the bid and the ask, so let me show you what that means. You can see up here, there's a whole bunch of ask levels, and then there's a whole bunch of bid levels in here, okay? You can do that. And ultimately what this allows for is it allows for you to total the columns. So let me go in and actually do that for a second. Let's go to tool settings and hit column. You can also do a single click stop limit. I don't normally like to do this. I like to leave this unchecked, and I'll explain why when we get into the functions, but it really is a user preference. You can set a limit offset on your stop limits. You can also change the market depth depending on the data provider. Tickblaze comes built with DX feed internally, and they have unlimited market depth. So if I wanted to change this to 20, I could do that, hit OK, and you can see I've just increased. Now, sometimes it takes a second for it to update the market depth. Normally it's gonna be basically, if I click on, there it is. It just sometimes it takes time for the data provider to send all of the market depth in, but once it's done, it's ready for you. And you can see you could add 100 and go all the way up to the top, which I think is really good because certain data providers only allow you 10 levels deep, and we actually allow for unlimited levels deep. So if you're looking at order levels at a very specific price, you can see that. And I think that'll be very good for all of you order flow traders looking at level 2. Now, please note that you do need a level 2 feed to be able to see the dome. And therefore, when you purchase Tickblaze, or if you're using Tickblaze, you can use that directly by choosing level 2 on sign up. If you're under a level 1 basic program within the Tickblaze platform, when you came in on the front end, just contact our support team and we can get you in touch with upgrading to a level 2 feed. If you came in from a prop firm partner, or if you came in from a broker partner and they do not provide data built into the platform, then ultimately you're going to need to subscribe to a level 2 provider, which we are ultimately partnered with. But just note that you do need level 2 to be able to perform what I'm about to show you, okay? Now I'm gonna basically turn this back down to 10 levels deep so I can keep things super easy. And it says quantity modification. And this is very important because you have the ability to either increase the quantity of your existing orders. If you, let's say you put a pending order in for 10 contracts, and then you want to change the contract size to 5 or change it to 20. You can change the quantity of the existing order by doing that on the flags, or if you want, you can actually do it as a separate order, but that means you actually have 2 separate orders placed at the same level, which to me is not really something I prefer, so I usually leave it to increase quantity of existing order. Now this is the order actions buttons, and this is equally important because normally when you're placing entry orders at limit prices above or below the market, we have it set to left click because when you're using your mouse, you're most likely clicking on the left button as your primary button, right? And so normally you can put a left button. Now you can choose a few different other controls in here, but for this example, I'm going to use a left button click method, okay? Now when you're placing stop loss orders, this is very important because ultimately you want to know that you need to press the Alt key on your keyboard if you want to use a stop. Now, if you were to change the other buttons, this would ultimately allow you to change this as well, right? We're not gonna do stop limits today. I don't normally trade with stop limits and I don't normally trade with market if touch, but you can ultimately see the settings. If you wanna do that, you can. For this, 90% of most traders are gonna be trading using the left click function. So let's stick to that for this example, okay? Now, as I mentioned in some of the other videos, it's important to know the basic functions of the trade execution windows. If you go onto the trade pad, you're gonna see that it's the same infrastructure here. You're gonna see a filter for changing your size on the fly. You can ultimately do that by typing in the category as well. You can ultimately do it on the fly. Let's do 3, okay, let's do 25 contracts, or let's do 500 shares of Google, or whatever the case may be, right? You can do that on the fly. The same infrastructure for the trade pad is built inside of the dome. And when you're in a position, you'll see your quantity, direction, and entry in here. You'll also see your P&L updating in percentages, ticks, or dollar amounts. You also have the ability to change your account. So if you're trading with multiple accounts, you can choose your account dropdown. In this example, you can see I have only one account. But if I were to go up here and create a new SIM account, right, I create SIM2, hit OK. And I come back in here, I could actually change this to SIM2, right? It really just depends. You wanna make sure that your chart is also set to the same account or you won't see the flags. If you have this on SIM default and then you're executing on SIM2, you will not see your order flags on that account. It's very important for those of you that are trading with a prop firm or you're trading with multiple accounts that you keep things in sync. Okay, so that'll be important. Now you'll notice here that I don't have any orders coming in. That's because I need to hit this click button. Sometimes you'll be scrolling up, or sometimes you're doing something and it freezes the dome. Whenever you hover over the dome, it freezes. There's a reason for that. We want things to stay still when you're making a decision to place a trade. if you've got this thing moving up and down very, very fast, it can often be overwhelming and traders can make mistakes. That is by design. So you'll notice how the ladder moves up and down, and depending on fast markets, you could be trading the open and that ladder could be moving really, really quickly and it becomes cumbersome, right? Let's say I'm trying to place a trade and then that ladder moves. I can't see the numbers, right? Now, some of you may or may not agree with that, but it's really meant for safety. And should you need that to be moving when you're placing trades, let us know and we can always look at developing that in our roadmap, okay? Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to basically just start placing some orders. I'm just gonna go in here with, 10 micro lots on the NASDAQ, okay? And for the most part, I'm gonna start with the ask column. I'm going to sell by clicking in the ask. If I want to buy, I'm going to click in the bid. Right, and each of these is a price level. So if I want to, I can just hover over here, and there it is. I've basically set 10, right, 10 ticks above. Okay, if I wanted to, I could put 10 ticks below, and now I'm basically, I'm basically bracketing. Now we came down and hit that pretty quickly, right? Because 10 ticks is not a lot on the NASDAQ, right? So now I'm in a position, right, and you can see that I have that there as well. You can see that the profit numbers updating in the dome as well, and it's just interesting to see that. Right, and you can see the order up there. Let's say I wanted to drag this target down to get filled. All I need to do is just click in here, one click function, bring it down, and just release the click. I just click it, bring it down, click it, right? If I want to click it, bring it up, click it. So it's a click and click method, right? Now I don't have a stop loss on this position, so I think it's important that I come down here and do that. And basically if I'm long, I need to sell to exit, which means I need to be selling on the ask side. You need to hold down the Alt key and hit the key. And there's a stop loss limit, right? You can see I've just basically put a stop loss order. Now, if I want to move my stop to break even, right? I can move my stop to break even. Let's bring it up here. There it is. And I've moved my stop to break even, and you can see that there as well. And this is basically how you manage trading on the dome. It's a preference, right? A lot of traders like to trade using the dome. Some traders like to using the chart trader. It's very customizable, right? And if you want to exit your positions, let's say you wanted to control all of your positions and your orders in here, you can just easily click on the dome or the chart trad and just hit cancel all, right? And close your position, right? And that's done by design, okay? So when you're trading, if you're trading a market that like 10 ticks is nothing, right? You may want to increase your dome level, right? The NASDAQ is, it's a pretty big market, it's pretty thick, and 10 ticks is a very small increment. So what I would do is I would come in here and I would go to basic tool settings, and I would basically change this to say 50 ticks, hit okay, right? And then basically we'll give it a second to load. It's gonna take a second to load that data, right, from the data provider. It's gotta fetch that level 2 infrastructure, right? And normally it'll come in within 5 seconds. It takes a second to load, right? So now I can basically come up here and I can really take a look at the depth. Take a look, I've got a pretty big order at 33. I can put a resistance level way up here. I can come back down. I can say, okay, I'm gonna put a support level down here, right? And there you go, right? And this allows you to be able to see you going up and down the ladder, right? Let's say I wanted to build in a position. I wanna just keep putting in orders, right? I could do that, right? If I wanna click this down because it was too close, I can do that, right? I can come down here and I can put more orders below, I could do that. Come up here and do this. Come up here and do that. You can just keep placing your orders on the dome, and ultimately that's just how you use the dome for placing orders, right? And so if you ever want to just cancel all your open orders, you say cancel all. Okay, I like that. It's very simple. Okay, now the biggest thing for me is understanding how to place your stop loss orders once you're in a position. Let's say I want to come in here and I want to buy the market, right? The market's coming down here, right? Let's just basically do it, right? There it is. And let's say I want to come in here and the market's coming here. Let's just do that. I'm long the market, right? I clicked in here, I entered the long market. Well, I need to basically understand that whenever you're placing orders on the dome, sometimes the mind will play tricks on you, right? Like, okay, do I need to click on the bid side or do I need to click on the ask side, right? When you're doing a chart trader, you can easily just see, use a stop loss and you can use that advanced order ticket. But on a dome, you got to think, right? If you're long the market, you're buying the market. How do I get out for a stop loss? I need to sell, right? Which means I need to be clicking on the ask side below price. You're not going to see numbers in here. You're just going to see a blank sell, So if I want to click and I want to enter a stop loss order, maybe I want to come down here and I want to find, okay, where do I want to place my stop? 25.40. So I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to find 25.40 right here. And I'm going to basically hit my control alt key, or not my control, excuse me, my alt key, and I'm going to click it. And there's my stop loss order, right? And that allows me to be able to choose, right? And why am I using the alt key? Because inside the tool settings, I said to hit a stop order, it says alt plus the left button. That's important. Okay, so, and if I'm long the market, okay, and I'm long the market and ultimately I need to exit for a target, right? If I'm long the market, I'm going to drag this down just a little bit so I don't get stopped out for the purpose of this training exercise. If I'm long the market, I need to be doing what to sell as a target. Well, I need to be selling above price, right? So I'm going to come up here. Maybe I want to take an exit at 20, 50, 60, right? So I could come up here and 20, let's just do this one here. Let's just do it right there. There's my target, right? So it's really about knowing, am I clicking on the bid side? Am I clicking on the ask side? What is my exposure to the current position, right? These types of things. And it really is just about understanding which side you're clicking on to facilitate the orders. And are you entering at limit? Are you entering a stop market order, etc., right? So, that's just a good primer for us to be able to do that. Now let's go in and hit the close button. Let's cancel all my open orders. And let's do it from the sell side, right? Let's say I want to short the market. Okay, I'm going to come in here, and if I want to short at current price, right, I need to look at where the market's trading at the inside bid and the ask. Okay, the inside bid and the ask is going to be always here, right? And you can change the colors of that if you don't like the way that the inside bid and the ask is looking. So ultimately you can do that. And if I want to enter automatically at market, I just come in here and I just click, right at the inside bid and the ask. And now I'm short the market, right? And now I got to think, okay, I'm short. So what do I need to do to protect this position from a stop loss order? Well, if you go into the right click menu, you're going to see that your stop loss is alt plus the left button. If you use a different control function, you need to remember that. So I'm going to use alt. Now I'm short selling, which means I need to buy to cover. And if I need to buy to cover, that means I need to be buying on the bid above the market. If I'm entering a stop loss up here, I need to go up here and take a look at what's my price level. Let's say I want to enter a stop at 25.50. So I hover over, you'll see the dome frozen. It says frozen, so nothing's moving. Let's say 25.50, let's see 25.50 right here. So I'm gonna hold the alt key down and click here. There's my buy stop limit order, or my buy stop market order, excuse me. Okay, now remember, I'm short. I've just protected my position with a buy stop by clicking on the bid above price. Now I need to think, okay, if I'm short, I need to buy to cover on a target. So I'm going to come down here, find my orders down here, and let's say I want to take a target at 25.30, right? Well, that's just right up here, right? So I'm going to hit just the left click on my mouse, and there's my target. So this is how you think like a dome trader. Okay, am I long? Am I short? Am I putting a buy stop or a sell stop above or below price? Which does take a little bit more experience, to be honest with you, right? There's a reason why people trade on the dome versus trading on a chart. Some people prefer looking at the price ladder because they like to look at the order data in level 2 inventory. There's strategies around the amount of size on the bid or the ask. So a lot of order flow traders use the dome. A lot of new traders or traders looking at technical strategies or looking at indicator-based systems or trading levels will use the chart trader. And by default, we have it set where you can basically see the flags. So if you're entering on the dome, you can see the flags on your chart. It's done by design. Okay, now if I come here and hit Sim 2, now I can't see any market. I can't see any trades. Remember we talked about this, that I'm in a position on the dome. I can see my orders on the dome, right? But I can't see them on the chart. It's because I need to go back to my market so I can actually see what's on my chart, right? And this is really important for you. If you place some orders on the dome and you don't see them on your chart, it's probably because you got the wrong account selected. It's really, really important that you pay attention to that. Now, it may not mean much to you if you're in a sim account and you make a mistake, but if you're trading your live account or if you're trading for a prop firm and you're taking trades on 20 accounts using a trade copier, you really need to be making sure you're executing in the right right environment, you're executing on the right accounts, okay? So rule of thumb, come in here, set up your colors, set up your infrastructure, make sure it's looking good and feeling good. Make sure you understand all of your settings in here and they're set the way that you choose. And then come in here and set the tool settings to be exactly what you want. Remember, you need to be thinking like, okay, which buttons am I using? That's why I always just use the left button and the Alt. It's the simplest for me. I never use these two because I don't trade using those functions, but I'm always clicking left to enter and I'm always clicking Alt left for a stop loss. Okay, so I think that's it. We'll cancel this out. It's been a great example video. If you have any questions on how to use the dome, hit us up and we'll be more than happy to help you get started. Take care, traders, and we'll see you in the next video.